meditation, visualization, mind control. If you want to develop as a magician, certain techniques of mind control are necessary to learn, as it is these techniques which open the doors within the mind. Doors which give access to the power needed to project energy, for want of a better word, in things like spellcasting, charging talismans, invocation, evocation. In other words, altered states of consciousness are the key to magical powers. Very little success with magic will be possible until the student is able to concentrate, meditate, and visualize. All of these abilities are brought into play whenever an act of magic is performed. The best time for doing these exercises is right after the opening rite, banishing of the Dark Lord or other, and the middle pillar rites. The activated centers will assist in your undertakings, more so as they develop and the chakras open. Relaxation and motionlessness. First, you need a straight back chair to sit on. If you desire, a small cushion to support your back to aid comfort. Now, sitting in your chair, you place your hands palm down on your legs. If you have a crystal, this may be placed in between your hands, which rest on your lap. Try now to just sit in this position without movement. You will become uncomfortable. There will be aches, itches. Your mind will also prove to be a playground of wandering and unrelated thoughts. All this will distract you from what seems to be a simple task. Persistence, however, will be needed over days, weeks, and months to bring your body to a stage where these symptoms disappear. While in this position, just focus on your breath as it goes in and goes out. Just observe the current of the breath and try to concentrate on the breath only, ignoring other thoughts that may arise. Relaxation can be improved by visualizing the exhaling breath, removing all tensions. Start with the feet. Inhale while visualizing your feet, and exhale as you visualize the feet relaxing. Continue it up the body, shins, thighs, stomach, chest, neck, head, until you are as relaxed as possible. Other more complex methods may be employed by the student when success in this method is achieved, each counting the breath and holding the breath for specific counts. Some of the better books on Hatha/Raja Yoga are recommended for this instruction. See reading list. Concentration. When concentration on the breath can be maintained for 30 minutes, without too many breaks in concentration, visualize in front of you a blank screen. All thoughts that arise must be gently pushed back while you strive to completely still the mind until a state of total quiescence is achieved. It is this stage, after much work, the shift from dharana, concentration, to dhyana, union, cosmic consciousness, is possible. Sounds. Try a mantra. Repeat over and over again while pushing any other thoughts gently away. Aum is a common one. Satanists may use ones such as Ave Satana. It's not too important what you use. The aim is to concentrate on the sound to the exclusion to all else. Objects. Stare at a mundane object with a fixed stare, or perhaps the flickering flame of a single candle. Images. Visualize behind your closed eyes. A triangle, square, circle, etc. You will find how difficult it is to stop the visualized object from distorting out of shape when you do this, when you can hold the image. Add dimension and color. These simple, basic exercises are the key to success in magic, not the wonderful spell that you have just found. If you cannot master the basics, you will have little success with magic, as all practice requires the ability to concentrate and visualize. It is this one-pointed gnosis that is the key to projecting your will into the cosmos. As Peter J. Carroll said, altered states of consciousness are the key to magical powers. Ritual instructions and other important teachings. Here you will find all of the instructions you will need to get started. This is very important. The methods I teach are ones that are standard in any coven or lodge. The Satanic Bible, while essential reading for any Satanist, is not the final word on Satanism. The techniques I have given you are what was standard practice in all the lodges of the past. Thus it extends beyond the materialist sea interpretation that LaVey espoused in the SP. Before any ritual work is approached in any real depth, practicing the meditation and visualization exercises is essential, for without some mastery of these principles, all further work, whether it be ritual work or other forms of mentalism, and control of the astral plane, would be fruitless. A word to the wise: meditation and visualization are not options, but must be mastered if further progress upon the magical path is to occur. We will now look at 4 principles that need to be worked on. These 4 principles are known as the Pyramid of Magic. Although they will be looked at separately, there is a good deal of overlap, as all 4, when it comes to the performance of any magic, will be brought into play simultaneously. The 4 principles are imagination, will, faith, and secrecy. Imagination. It would not be too much of an exaggeration to say that all people that are drawn to the black arts have the quality of an active imagination. It is the ability to conjure to the mind's eyesights and images, to excite and indulge the desires of the sorcerer. It is through the ability of indulging in one's individual desires of the imagination that the magician will look through when casting forth the desires of the magical will. The magician should surround themselves with those things which stimulate this faculty: bizarre prints, statues, books, music, etc. Anything which gets the dark juices flowing. Most traditions of magic will give you set examples of how you should construct your personal temple. I was taught, however, that one should decorate their private working space according to what turns them on, rather than having, for example, a temple furnished according to a preset traditional format given in a book. Not to say that you cannot have representations of deities or the four elements, etc., but rather construct your magical working space according to what excites and turns your magical juices on. Bottom line, here is to consciously give your imagination free rein to express itself in whatever way is pleasing to you, will. The lessons on meditation and visualization will go a long way in developing a strong magical will, essential for the performance of effective workings. Will is the medium through which the emotions are evoked and channeled through your imagination. In your day-to-day life, it is important to develop a strong and powerful will. Ways of doing this, apart from meditation and visualization exercises, include asserting yourself in situations where maybe before you allowed yourself to go along with something you did not agree with. Also of use is committing yourself to activities such as the meditation and visualization exercises without making excuses and breaking your oath to yourself in respect to your commitment to doing them. Of course, do not make promises to yourself or others that you cannot keep. This will damage the strong will you are seeking to develop. A magician's word is a magician's word. It is not to be taken lightly. If you commit yourself to the process of developing your magical will, you will find many opportunities in your day-to-day life to strengthen it. Faith. This may seem a strange concept to many of you on the LHP, but we are not speaking here of religious faith, but rather faith in one's own magical abilities. Never, I repeat, never try willing anything that deep down you are convinced is not possible. To do so, you risk your work failing. This will prove to be a serious blow to your faith in yourself. It is far better to progress upon the magical path slowly. As your powers develop, you will naturally come to understand what is possible for you. For now, it is more important to only perform workings that you have complete faith you have the ability to see manifest. It does not matter how small this may seem. It is far better to have your faith boosted by an act of magic than to have your faith dampened by biting of more than you can magically chew, so to speak. Secrecy. Secrecy about one's magical activities is a good idea for a number of reasons, particularly for the newbie. It is not a good move to blab to all and sundry that you have an interest in magic if all you are going to get is mockery and ridicule. A lot of people skeptical about the whole occult thing will challenge you to prove that there is something in all this by asking you to produce a tangible magical effect. And of course, nothing is ever good enough for these types. And all you will end up doing is again undermining your developing faith and ability in yourself. If you have friends that are open and maybe even on the same or similar path to yourself, this is a different matter. The process of developing a magical persona is a long and arduous one at times, but is well worth it in the long run. The principles I have outlined should be digested and then utilized on a daily basis until they become second nature. Through the imagination, the will is focused, and by faith manifests the magician's desire. In the next few sections, you will learn some of the techniques that were given to neophytes within the tradition that I was a student of. These teachings were taught by one Stoker Black. The formats of these rites are pretty much those taught by all Western magical traditions. It's just that none that I'm aware of use them in the way I will describe. I must make one thing clear. I have in certain places in the rituals changed some of the names of the demons, invoked/evoked. Why? Because the spirits that were called upon were ones that were a part of the family tradition, kind of like the lower of the voodoo trad. And I was asked never to reveal them to people outside of the tradition, and this oath I will never break. The demons that were used in Black's tradition were ones that the novice was introduced to and taught about within an extended family context, and were peculiar to his lineage. So it is out of respect that I do this, not fear of retribution of any kind. The banishing rite of the dark, Lord all magical traditions, teach us a clearing rite of some kind. Banishing rituals are not, as some ignorantly presume, to banish evil spirits from the magician's temple. Rather, their purpose is to remove all extraneous vibrations, energies, and/or mental thought, forms not consistent with the aims of the magician. You are creating, with this rite, a focal point for the powers of darkness to manifest. The inverse pentagram of Earth is mentioned in this rite. I will provide links to material that contains all the forms of the pentagram that you will ever need. More on this later. I will give the bare bones of the ritual first, and then I will give the inner work that must be going on within the magician to make this rite, or indeed any other rite, effective. This is where all that practice with meditation and visualization is put to use in a ritual format. Here, summed up, are the benefits of the rite. A method of ridding the mind of disturbing and obsessive thoughts, expanding the energy field of the body, while freeing it of negativity, cleansing the aura of negative spiritual and emotional vibrations, putting the divine spark within in contact with the divine Hadit, Satan, without. Here now is the banishing rite of the Dark Lord, a revision of the Golden Dawn's lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, using names more congenial to Satanists. Face any preferred direction. Visualize a bright white sphere above the head and vibrate. Azazel. Bring down the beam of light to the genitals and vibrate. Belial. Up to the middle of the chest and across to the right shoulder. Vibrate. Asmodeus. To left shoulder, vibrate. Astaroth. Clasp hands at the chest, visualizing a bright red reverse pentagram upon the breast, or hexagram of alchemy if known. Vibrate. Baphomet, or Baphometus. Go to the west. Draw a reverse pentagram of Earth. Note, the reverse pentagram of Earth is drawn at all four quarters. Vibrate. Leviathan, go to the south, draw a pentagram and vibrate. Samael, go to the east, draw a pentagram and vibrate. Lucifer, go to the north, draw a pentagram and vibrate. Lilith, return to center of temple. With eyes closed, you visualize the demons you have invoked and the elemental energies flowing in from each quarter. Then say, around me flame the pentagrams, the star of force and fire. Within my breast, the eternal one, the infinite and immortal star. Repeat steps 1, 5. Explanations on the text. Step 1 is self-explanatory. To draw the cross of light, not the extant cross, let that be very clear. With your 2 fingers, middle and forefinger extended. Other 2 fingers clasping thumb to palm of hand. Visualize a beam of light following your fingertips to the areas of the body mentioned. The cross is visualized as extending out to infinity, not stopping at the left or right shoulder and genitals, but as an infinite line in all 4 directions. You are the star in the middle. Regarding the 4 quarters, steps 6 to 9. You may change the order if you prefer. Start in the quarter that suits you best. Many Satanists start in the west. Others with a Luciferian bent may prefer to begin in the east, in which case you start with Lucifer. Wherever you start, proceed anti-clockwise. When drawing the pentagram of earth, it is visualized in flaming red as you draw it before you. Arm outstretched. Use dagger if you have. And then stab the center as you vibrate the demon's name. Visualize the demons as follows. Leviathan. Before you is a great dark sea, and from it rises a huge serpent which towers over you. A vast, ancient intelligence shines from its eyes. Samael. A tall figure in hue of darkest pitch, surrounded by tongues of fire. He is known as Samael the Black. Lucifer. An hermaphrodite, angelic figure, suffused with light and wisdom, the force of which flows into the temple. Lilith. A tall, aggressive-looking woman wearing a long black dress, with long dark hair and eyes of fiery red, pictured against a backdrop of rocky, mostly barren mountainside, with only patches of green here and there. These visualizations are not written in stone, but are a stepping stone to facilitate communion. The demons will give you their own images peculiar to you in time. Vibration of infernal names. Here is how to vibrate the names across the astral planes, which summons the energies to your temple of art. When performing the cross, inhale deeply while visualizing the energy of the universe traveling through your nose, down deep into your body, through your feet, deep into the center of the earth. When exhaling, you bring it back up through your body and vibrating, Azazel! While feeling the area of the body vibrating to the sound of the name. When projecting the name at the quarters, you visualize the whole area in front of you, to the ends of the universe being shaken and resonating to the sound of the names. As the power comes back, this has to be experienced to fully know what I mean here. Visualize your whole body vibrating as well. Pentagrams. Here are online copies of Crowley's Liber O and Liber Vi Vel Reguli. Liber O has all the point-up versions of the pentagram, and Liber Vi Vel Reguli has all the point-down, inverse pentagrams needed for this work. Be careful and make sure you know which pentagrams are which. The rituals that they are taken from are not in the same sequence as normal elemental workings. Look and you will see what I mean. For now, all I want you to do is be familiar with all the various forms of the pentagram, but don't let this stop you reading the rest of Crowley's notes. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. As you can see, this simple rite has a lot of inner work that must be practiced to achieve the effect this rite was created for. This is only the beginning, but there is much here to digest. It is a good practice to do your banishing rite first, and then practice the various meditations and techniques of your choice. There is a great deal more that I must comment on, but I think you have enough to go on for now. So, practice this ritual until it is committed to memory. There is nothing wrong with using cheat notes while learning, but ideally you should soon reach a stage where this is not needed. Of course, all rituals of this sort can be altered to accommodate deities and demons of one's own tradition, but you've got to start somewhere. And to give all the possible variants of this ritual would create confusion. Thus, I have given the LHP version I was taught. Other openings in the last lesson. I gave a banishing rite which fits pretty much into a Golden Dawn style approach. Just so some of you do not think that I'm biased toward high magical satanic rituals, here are some other examples of openings. Those of you who are more oriented to LaVey's work and paganism may find that these may suit you better. They still require the magician to use visualization techniques. Even something as simple as the ringing of the bell would be pointless unless the magician is busy visualizing the bell, removing extraneous vibrations and influences. Let it be said, though, that I personally feel the banishing of the Dark Lord with all its various technique is second to none in developing magical abilities. Enough said. Other possible openings. Simply by ringing a bell in each of the 4 quarters, while visualizing the noise of the bell, removing extraneous vibes. An opening using the 4 elements. Place a handful of rock salt into your chalice, cup hands over the chalice, and visualize a dim bluish light. Hovering over the contents, say, in the name of Belial, Lord of earth and Leviathan, Lord of the seas, I bless this water in thy name. Sprinkle the area widdershins 3 times. Likewise, cup hands over the incense and visualize a dim blue light hovering it to say, in the name of Lucifer, Lord of air, I bless this perfume in thy name. Cleanse the area widdershins 3 times. Finally, cup your hands over the candle flame. Visualizing the same blue light, say, Satan, Lord of fire, I bless this flame in thy name. Again, move it around the area with additions 3 times. The infernal middle pillar is a dynamic technique of stimulating the energy centers of the body. This ritual has its origins with the Golden Dawn. It was felt, however, that the use of Hebrew names of power were not suitable for the left-hand path in all situations, so this version was devised. It has since become a favorite with Satanists that I have taught it to, and in some cases has replaced the original version altogether. For those of you unfamiliar with such rituals, it is the Western magical version of the Eastern system of working with the subtle energy systems of the body. The Eastern system of working with the base chakra first and raising the kundalini up through the energy centers to the crown chakra is advisable only under the guidance of an experienced yoga master in most cases, as some of the techniques can be dangerous. The reason for this is that the energy in the base chakra is raw sexual energy, which is the psycho-spiritual equivalent of nitroglycerin. If the energy passes up too quickly through the chakras and somehow gets stuck at one of the centers, it can cause obsessions, neurosis, or emotional imbalance. If the energy manages to blast its way through all the energy centers to the crown chakra, one may indeed receive enlightenment or insanity depending on individual responses. The middle pillar ritual starts from the top, crown, and works down through the centers and earths. The energy completes the circuit at the feet. Since we start from the divine energy sphere and draw the energy down through the centers, each one is purified and activated in a gentle and gradual way. Do not make the error of assuming that it is not potent, however. If performed correctly, it is very powerful. I had a student who was not quite himself at the time he performed this rite, and he collapsed. So another thing to be aware of is one must be in good health when doing rites such as these. If you are uncertain of things such as heart, respiratory, and blood pressure, etc., a trip to your doctor may be in order. The benefits of the middle pillar are activating the divine source, micro, within, so as to begin uniting the microcosm with the macrocosm or chaos, the limitless light, the all, the no thing. The throat chakra is activated, which also is visualized extending up to the third eye, the psychic awareness center. This symbolizes communication with the divine, which at the same time will hopefully reveal the many false illusionary thoughts we have regarding reality and begin opening our psychic senses. The third center, which covers the heart and solar plexus when activated, begins modifying and balancing the emotions and feelings. The fourth center covers the pelvic and base chakras, and when activated, releases the psychosexual energy, which can be used for magic, charging talismans, healing, tantric work, invocation, and so on. The fifth center is at the feet. When activated, it earths the energies brought down and acts as an anchor for them, thereby stabilizing body and soul. The middle pillar represents just that, the central pillar on the Kabbalistic tree of life. See reading list. Here is the infernal middle pillar ritual. Perform the banishing of rite of the Dark Lord or other opening. Visualize a bright sphere above the head. The 1,000-petaled lotus is one name given to this. Thus it is viewed as brilliant white light. Vibrate Satan 3 or 4 times. Then imagine a shaft of white light descending down from the sphere, through your head, to the nape of the neck where it widens into a sphere of light. Vibrate Coranzon 3 or 4 times. Sphere is extended up and over the third eye. Visualize the shaft of light descending to the solar plexus area where it expands into another sphere of light. Vibrate Lucifer 3 or 4 times. Then again see the beam descend to the genital area where it expands into another sphere of light. Vibrate Lilith 3 or 4 times. Finally, the beam descends to the feet, to the final center. As the sphere expands, see it extending over your feet and under the earth. Vibrate Belial 3 or 4 times. Stand for a while and feel the effects on your energy system. Most students find that this dynamic way of working with the energy centers brings immediate results. After about 6 months of doing this ritual, you may begin to experience unusual phenomena. This is because you have been working with and activating previously unused energy centers. You may experience small or large floating lights. You may even have the occasional manifestation of astral entities. But I must stress that these phenomena are all harmless. They are only manifestations of the fact that you have been awakening your astral senses. In the next lesson, I will be giving you techniques of moving the energy that you have been activating with this ritual. For those of you that are serious about cultivating magical power, a good format for daily practice would be as follows. Perform the banishing of the Dark Lord, or an opening of your choice, the infernal middle pillar, meditation and visualization exercises of your choice. The circulation of light, the above rituals need to be practiced and some proficiency gained in them before this next step of circulating the body's energy is attempted. It should be obvious that the ritual of the infernal pillar opens the chakras within the body of the Satanist. This has many uses. When some measure of expertise is reached with this ritual, you will be able to focus this energy to do many things. But for now, I will simply give you some techniques which begin to move the body's energy field in various ways under the control and direction of the mind. The ritual of the infernal pillar opens the psycho-spiritual centers of the body to allow the energies that are around us to be able to flow in and out of the body, the benefits of which are many. When one begins to activate the centers over the months, they open up and allow the emotions and feelings that are unbalanced to become focused. And still, you are then less inclined to extremes of emotion. Your thoughts become more tranquil. your whole being begins to center itself. The harnessing of this energy is very important to your development. It is the power needed to direct your will for things such as invocation, evocation, spellcasting, and general good health. Also, when it comes to tantric magic, its perfecting is indispensable. These rituals given so far are used to contact one's inner demon as well. So their mastery is well worth your time. Exercise 1. After completing the infernal pillar, direct your attention to the sphere above your head. With your arms by your side, take a deep breath. Now, as you slowly exhale, imagine the light descending down to your left shoulder, and then down the length of the whole side of your body. As it touches your feet, inhale, drawing the light across to the other foot, up the full length of the right side of the body, and back to the sphere above to the head. Repeat 3 times. Exercise 2. Again, synchronizing the breath, move the light, but this time from the sphere in a circular motion, down out from the body, under the feet, and back up to the crown. Repeat 3 times. Exercise 3. Synchronize your breath as in exercises 1 and 2. Draw the energy down from the sphere, over the front of the body, under the feet, and up the back to crown. Repeat 3 times. Exercise 4. Visualize a shaft of light from the crown. Inhale. Draw the energy down through the body where it comes to rest to the earth sphere, filling it with light. Exhale as you bring the energy down. Now visualize the energy curling up in a spiral. Inhale to the front left leg. It continues to move in a counterclockwise spiral, wrapping you like an Egyptian mummy in light. Continue up until you reach the crown. Then visualize the energy exploding like a fountain out of the crown chakra, falling around you, cleansing the body's energy field, and finally descending to the earth center where it fills up again. Repeat this 3 times. Temples and altars, I have briefly touched upon this subject in the Pyramid Discourse, but feel a few words on this will help the student create a space according to what is practical for the individual. Occult orders, whether pagan or ceremonial, often have very dogmatic ideas of what constitutes an appropriate working space. The chaos magic current has helped to overcome much of the "this is the correct way to do it" school of thought that was part of the Assyrian dogmatism of RHP magical philosophy. All you need to perform any of the exercises in these documents is a small area of living space which is private and removed from the company of others at the time of working your magic. If you have your own bedroom, so much the better. If you have a house or flat and you have one unused room, good for you. You may desire to go the whole hog and turn it into a fully fledged temple. All the Satanist needs, apart from a small private area, is something known as an altar. And if you have a rectangular coffee table, you may perhaps use that. If you have some black material to put over the table, great. All you need now is a couple of black candles and we are away. Incense is also a good idea. Use as good a quality one as you can afford. This would be a bare minimum example of a temple altar. What the above is really saying is that the most important thing is not waiting until you have a perfect environment to practice magic. Otherwise, you will never get around to doing it. Of course, later you can start to add things here and there until you reach the ideal temple for you. Lavish or moderate, it's not the issue. What occurs in the space is what really matters. Most magicians still use symbols for the 4 elements and perhaps a lamp for spirit. The reading list has many examples of temples: Wiccan, Golden Dawn, Thelemic, Chaos. It is a good idea to read a few and see the way each group approaches this subject, and then just design your temple how you want to. Many Satanists have a banner in one of the 4 quarters. The guild uses an inverse red pentagram on a black background. Reading list on ceremonial magic. I recommend the following books on ceremonial magic. Modern Magic by Donald Michael Craig, Llewellyn. To my mind, unsurpassed as a solo guide to Western tradition. Magic in Theory and Practice by Aleister Crowley, Dover. See especially Appendix 5, pages 303, 324. Liber A Vel Exercitorum, pages 368, 374. Liber O, pages 375, 389. Particularly section 3, in which the Master Therian elucidates very simply the taking on of God forms. Liber Null and Psychonaut by Peter J. Carroll Weiser. Chapter 1 in particular. Liber Chaos by Peter J. Carroll Weiser. Matt Magic by Nima Weiser. Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine. New Falcon. Foundations of Practical Magic by I. Regardi, Aquarius. The Middle Pillar by I. Regardi, Aquarius. Simplified Magic by Ted Andrews, Llewellyn. What Witches Do by Stuart Farrar, Llewellyn. Mastering Witchcraft by Paul Hewson, publisher unknown. Books on the Kabbalah. The Mystical Kabbalah by Dion Fortune, Weiser. Ladder of Lights by William Gray, Weiser. Between Good and Evil by William Gray, Weiser. Foundations of Practical Magic by I. Regardi, Aquarian. A Garden of Pomegranates by I. Regardi, Llewellyn. The Middle Pillar by I. Regardi, Llewellyn. Simplified Magic by Ted Andrews, Llewellyn. Imagic by Ted Andrews, Llewellyn. Now called More Simplified Magic. There are many, many others. Just choose wisely. Yoga and Related Topics. Energized by Elrond, Juliana and Sophia Blowin, Llewellyn. Ecstasy Through Tantra by John Mumford, Lilithian, Yoga, The Iyengar Way by Silver, Myra and Shyam Mehta, Simon and Schuster.